I'm Chris Cannon for CVN, here with Dave Morrow, who has chaired and just published an AHA statement on critical care cardiology, a new concept that looks into how treatment of patients in our CCUs really has changed over the last decade or so and may require changes of us. Dave, this is a tremendous statement that I think is a wake-up call to say how things are really different in our CCUs. Can you say how this came about?
Yeah, I think it is a bit of a wake-up call, and it really has come from the direct clinical experience. I think 10 years ago when we were practicing in the ICU, we were taking care of mostly patients with MIs who were relatively stable, and now it's patients with multi-system organ failure who got sick with structural heart disease, or patients with pulmonary hypertension on multiple pulmonary vasodilators, patients with out-of-hospital cardiac arrest, where now it's really that meticulous critical care in the ICU that dominates their outcomes. And in the general ICU community, they've learned a lot through observational studies about better ways to organize care in the ICU. And we've been a bit behind in cardiology in doing that, and even behind our colleagues in cardiology in Europe, where they've already formalized the way they qualify to take care of patients in the ICU. And we realized that as a cardiovascular community, we needed to take charge of that and formulate a roadmap for the future.
Well, it's fascinating. I think, the need for other people to help out. Now, you set up sort of like a trauma level 1 kind of classification?
Yeah, I think we recognize that hospital centers vary a great deal across the U.S. So, at one extreme, we have patient ICUs that take care of patients with largely uncomplicated MI, arrhythmias who aren't unstable hemodynamically, heart failure the same way. Whereas at the other extreme, we have advanced ICUs that take care of all those patients with peripheral circulatory support, multiple pulmonary vasodilators, therapeutic hypothermia. And so we've called those ICUs a level 1 CICU, an advanced ICU, just like a level 1 trauma center. And you don't need a level 1 trauma center in every corner. You don't need a level 1 CICU on every corner. But there are plenty of patients who are cared for at level 2 in between, or level 3 CICUs.
Well, it's fascinating. Now, what kind of stuff would you need? Do you need like an intensivist who runs the ventilators and stuff?
Yeah, I think, I'd say there are 2 core principles for the document. The first is that if the main reason you're sick is a cardiovascular problem, you want a cardiovascular specialist in your care. But also, if you're critically ill in an ICU, that you need someone who has critical care expertise and experience. You need access to that level of care too. So for a level 1 ICU, that most advanced CICU, we believe that you do want an intensivist. We think best scenario is a cardiac intensivist, a cardiologist who has, either through a lot of experience or specialized training, intensivist skills. Whereas in that level 3 CICU, it might be a cardiologist who's running the show, but consulting an intensivist if they need to, if one of those patients gets sick, requires mechanical ventilation, requires more advanced intensivist skill set.
Well, it's fascinating. And then what about trainees? Do we need different cardiology fellows, intensivist fellows?
Yeah. So I think we want to make sure that we're exposing all our fellows to basic fundamentals of care so that they feel comfortable consulting on patients who are critically ill in a cardiac intensive care unit, and in some cases leading the care of those patients. They need to be able to take care of those MI patients, the patients with arrhythmias. But I think for those advanced CICUs, I think we want to be able to offer to our trainees who are interested more advanced training. If you think in the COCATS level, COCATS level 3 training, the advanced training that we see for procedural specialists and imaging. And so there are some places that are opening up pathways with more advanced training for cardiovascular fellows who want to do that.
Well, it's just a tremendous document. It's an eye-opener for me to how this has evolved, but really this is a roadmap to keep pace and get the different level of care up to speed. So thank you very much for joining us here on CVN.